Hey guys, so am I coming back? Yes, I'm coming back. So what happened, guys? I was building my big martial arts channel, and then I'll be honest, it kind of burned me out. So I thought about it. I said, what are things I enjoy doing? And I do enjoy doing rants and roasting stuff. Yes, we're about to roast this. But before we roast this, let me just talk to you about this. So I've been meaning to get braces probably since 2017. I just never pulled the trigger. And for those of you wondering, Jerry's teeth look okay. What happened? The thing is, back here, I got one tooth that's misaligned. And front here, you don't see it when looking at me up. But if you ever look at me from down, you'll see that this tooth right here, these two front teeth, they're two inwards. So this plus that misaligned tooth, it's caused a lot of jaw problems. Again, my teeth look perfect if you aren't looking, but because of these two teeth in front, a little bit too inwards, and then there's one misaligned tooth here, it's caused a lot of TMJ problems. So I finally said, you know what? 2020, I had to fix my neck issues, right? My neck got muscle, so I wasn't getting hurt doing martial arts anymore. 2021, I really, really worked at learning about semen retention and NoFap and all that. So now, 2022, let's fix this TMJ problem I've had probably since college. I was one side chewing, basically. So I was chewing on my left side. So that's what you'll look for to braces, Jerry, now, which is really cool. I think it's really cool. So now, what are we doing today? This book, okay? I was taking out the trash, and this was lying next to the trash. And of course, it's going to be in the trash. I mean, why would anyone take advice from this book? But I said, you know what? This sounds like something that would be really funny to read. And I will say, it's not completely ridiculous. There's about 5% of what I've read so far that's kind of cool. So I read through the introduction, the first chapter. Lots of cringe. In fact, it's so cringe that there's a fire truck or whatever coming out to put out the fires. But let's read and roast this together. And teaser, guys, we're going to have a new platform that we're going to go on in the future, and we can hang out live and roast together. We can roast books. We can roast Chinese dating shows again. Remember those? We're going to do it all. So anyways, without further ado, Why Men Love Bitches by Sherry Argov. So, first of all, she's, of course, from Southern California. I mean, you assume a woman from Southern California would have a title like this. But anyways, without biasing you guys too much, let's start, okay? So she's giving an introduction. She's talking about why she wrote this book. I love this part. She's talking about what she's trying to bring to the table, what she's trying to describe to you guys. The woman I'm describing is kind yet strong. She has a strength that is ever so subtle. She doesn't give up her life, and she won't chase a man. She won't let a man think he has a 100% hold on her, and she'll stand up for herself when he steps over the line. You know what's funny about this description? You see so many of these self-help books, these mistargeted, bad advice books for men, try to teach men to be the same exact thing. So it's like she's describing everything that a lot of these books, these teach men how to be not nice guys or whatever, but you just substitute that word woman for man, and it's the same exact thing. So it's kind of funny. They're almost like starting at the same fundamentals. So that made it really interesting. Now, of course, before we begin, right, if two people have that type of mentality together, is there going to be a clash? Pose that question for you guys. We don't have to answer that. So, check this out. She's trying to justify it. Among the hundreds of interviews I conducted with men for the book. First of all, when someone gives you a number, this is statistics 101, right? What is the sample size? What is the sample size? What I mean by that is, what's the distribution? If you surveyed 100 guys who are at a nudist beach, it's going to be very different than if you surveyed 100 guys in Ghana. If you surveyed 500 guys working in Silicon Valley in the San Francisco area, it's going to be very different than surveying 500 guys in Mexico, right? So just because she tosses a vague number among the hundreds of interviews, there's likely a sample size and a representational bias. So, according to her, these men say, men need a mental challenge, they said. Time and time again, this was the recurrent theme. So, that's her sample size. That's what they say. So, next part she says, the men I interviewed all phrased it slightly differently. Let's try to read here. Can I watch the screen and read? There it is. Men like it when a woman has a bit of an edge to her, they said. Two things become clear across the board. First, they would regularly use the phrase mental challenge to describe a woman who didn't appear needy. And second, the word bitch was synonymous with their concept of mental challenge. And this characteristic, above all, they found attractive. So I wrote here in the margins, I wrote, maybe this type of man just has too much time on his hands if he wants to deal with all that. So, again, sample size bias, people. Now, so what's the message of this book, she writes? It's that a bit of irreverence is necessary to have any self-esteem at all. Not irreverence for people, but rather for what other people think. So she's basically talking about you need to not give as much. You need to not give an F what people think. The bitch is an empowered woman who derives tremendous strength from the ability to be an independent thinker, particularly in a world that still teaches women how to be self-abnegating. That's a big word. This woman doesn't live someone else's standards, only her own. So this is funny because, again, I wrote here, you think only women have to do this? Like everyone, we're planted from birth. We're planted all these things, these roles, everything we have to live by, right? So even though she's targeting this towards women, this thing, it's whether she knows it or not, like, don't just say, oh, this is something for women. Everyone needs to kind of free themselves from certain ideas that are not correct. So, the bitchy women who are so loved by men give off a devil-may-care quality and, yes, have that edge. This is that same edge, coincidentally, that men say they find so magnetic. The difference is, this woman isn't looking for it outside herself. It is a special quality she carries within. So, still, at the introduction, there is potential. This could go, but I also wrote, you're also potentially training some cat ladies. So, I started reading the first chapter at the coffee shop or tea shop, and I was laughing a lot. Okay, so here we go. The first thing she's teaching women, anything a person chases in life runs away. Now, is that true? Anything you chase run away? So if you think about that, does that mean you should never chase your dreams? You just sit around smoking pot? Because if you chase your dreams will run away. You see, that's the problem with trying to generalize like this, right? Anything. She didn't say anyone. She said anything. Anything a person chases in life runs away. So for those of you watching, go into the comment section and tell me, what are things that you can chase that don't run away? Anyways, so attraction principle number 2. The women who have the men climbing the walls for them aren't always exceptional. Often, they are the ones who don't appear to care much. Again, when you speak in generalities, right, that's the thing. We can always find a big sample size that doesn't fulfill this. So she is saying, a lot of times, the women that have the men craziest for them or about them, they're the ones that just don't care. So, what would happen if you let him know from day one that you are willing to bend over backward? He'd think you're desperate, and he'd want to see just how far you'd be willing to bend. It is human nature. He'd immediately start to test the waters. The more malleable you become, the more he'd expect you to bend. He'll instantly perceive you as a Duracell battery, as in, just how far will she go? How much can I get out of her? She's, of course, describing a certain type of man, but are all men like this, right? Are all men like this? So that's why I wrote in the margins, I wrote, too simplistic, man. Not every guy is like, oh, she's really good to me. Let's just take advantage of her. You know? So, okay. Attraction principle 3. A woman is perceived as offering a mental challenge to a degree that a man doesn't feel he has a 100% hold on her. Remember that song? Really got a hold on me. Oh, there's a funny little thing here. Rule of thumb, if it is warm, he'll eat it. The rest is wasted effort. Basically, she's teaching women in this part to, if you want to cook for a man, it's too much, man. Don't cook for a man. Like, if you want to treat him to something, she's saying, just give us some popcorn. And then, if needed, make some sausages. Call it gourmet delicate dippings, but just make some sausages. So, sausage, right? You just make some sausages, the type that you can just heat up in 8 minutes, and then put some ketchup and mustard. So, this part made me laugh. You'll know dinner was a smashing success when he insists on taking you out to eat next time. Never again will you hear him utter the words, "Hey, what's for dinner?" So she's basically telling women, if you don't want to cook for a man, cook a really bad, minimalist, lazy effort for a man. And in the future, you'll make it so he hates your cooking so much that he'll want to go out every time he sees you. So, again, guys, what do you think? Let me know in the comments, man. Let me know. Put the time code and let me know in the comments what you think. So, so here she has a table. She's describing the behaviors of women who are insecure versus secure, right? Insecure, she's describing I am not enough. That's the word she uses. And of course, I'm enough. Take it or leave it, right? So, somehow a woman that's very secure in herself, very independent, can't remember her boyfriend's last name or her date's last name. See? Look at that. So she's saying a woman who's insecure, who is not okay being independent, when she's dating a guy or whatever, in a relationship with a guy, she's thinking about, okay, what's next? Are we going to have babies? You see, she talks about having babies. But a woman who's secure in herself, she can't even remember her boyfriend or her date's last name. That's why I wrote WTF. And then, so, this part about how if the guy you're dating or whatever as a woman, if the guy brings up your ex and she's looking at her watch, so she's basically saying, I don't want to hear about it. I don't think that's anything that's a man-woman thing. It's just, right, be in the moment. It's just like basic self-respect. If we're on a date now, why are you talking about someone else that's not in the picture anymore, right? So, some of this is just basic self-respect stuff. That's how I wrote basic self-respect. So, this part is so cringe. This was written in the early 2000s, just to keep that in mind. So, life has changed a lot. Just remember that. You see, early 2000s, you see that? But, here's what she says, early 2000s. It's a fact that most men deliberately don't call just to see how you'll respond. You see that? I wrote, what the F? I mean, this could be my sample size bias, but from what I know, usually the guys are the ones trying to initiate a date, right? I don't know what this most men, you see, this is the problem when you use words like most men, deliberately, most men, again, I don't know. See, I just wrote here, who told you that? Yeah. That in itself was just so cringe. So, attraction principle number 4, she says. Sometimes a man deliberately won't call just to see how you'll respond. Oh, actually, we were just talking about that. Okay. Here. So she's talking smack about a teen magazine. She says, a top teen magazine recently gave women the following bad advice. They said to slip notes in unexpected places like his backpack or locker, or to write a poem and slip it under his windshield wiper, as if this wasn't enough to give his attraction the kiss of death. Wait, it gets better. In addition, they advised catching him off guard by having a pizza delivered. Okay, put it all together, what do you get? A magic recipe for convincing him you are a stalker. Yeah, showing you care a little bit, like, as far as I know, if you show a little bit that you're paying attention or you care, I think most people appreciate it, right? So part of getting braces, I can't eat a lot of types of food now. So there's a pretty cute girl at the tea shop. Shout out Tammy. And I was talking to her. I said, I don't know what to get now. I don't know what to eat. And she gave me some foods. I remember that, right? So if I'm not saying what she's saying is completely wrong, right? Maybe slightly expect something in return if this is a relationship you want pursued, right? You don't want to just be given and not expect anything in return. But yeah, just I know she's trying to be edgy, she's trying to be funny, but the humor falls flat and it just looks like a logical fallacy. And as we keep going with this chapter, we're going to see a lot more. So, attraction principle number 5. Guys, we're not going to read the whole book, of course. If you really want, maybe I'll contact the author, I can interview her, or I can put her book in my Amazon storefront. But we're just going to critique and react to a few more pages. So, if you guys don't want to watch this, just come back next week or something, or whenever I upload again, and we could do something else. But as far as I know, it's really fun to see what advice is being sold to the ladies, because I don't read Vogue magazine or Betches Love This or whatever women read. So this is probably actually the first, and this is the second. This is the second book written for women, by women, about men that I've ever read. So this is actually really cool. So, attraction principle 5. If you start out dependent, it turns him off. But if it is something he can't have, it becomes more of a challenge for him to get it. So first of all, is that assumption even true? If you're a woman, you're showing vulnerability, does that necessarily turn him off? I don't know. You guys, let me know what you think. So, check this out. Another mistake that a woman can make is to put herself down. When you're on a date, you should never talk about the plastic surgery you want to have or the weight you want to lose. Don't talk him out of a compliment. This is the time to be sure of who you are. Don't talk him out of a compliment. Now, I will agree with you on that. There are people, you try to give them a compliment and they try to dismiss your compliment. And usually when that happens, I tell them, look, I'm being genuine here, okay? If you're going to keep doing this, you're not going to get compliments from me anymore. But I don't know if that's what she's saying. Again, there's always degrees to things, right? Sometimes a little bit of vulnerability is good. So, yeah. Let's look here. What women need to understand is that when a man considers a woman to be a prize, looks have very little to do with it. In the above example, simple mind trick that goes like this. She acted like a prize, and then a funny thing happened. He completely forgot who he was looking at. So, if you're a woman, you could be whatever. You could have a very bad everything else, right? But if you just act like you're the prize, he's going to forget who he's looking at and just fall in love with you. Or sometimes, if you're acting like the shit, but people know you're not the shit, maybe people just think you're delusional, right? That's the problem with these type of blanket statements. So, this next one's pretty lame. Actually, okay, I will read this one because what you'll see is she starts repeating herself. It's like the same thing, but she just repeats herself in different words. Is it your attitude about attraction principle 6. It is your attitude about yourself that a man will adopt. Attraction principle number 7. Act like a prize, you'll turn him into a believer. Basically, it's the same exact advice, just phrased differently. See, I wrote here, I said, repeating yourself over and over, I wrote. So, she tells a story. This part is hilarious. She tells a story. This friend of hers was on a date with some guy, and the guy brought her to a boxing match. And there was a stripper girl. First of all, she makes a judgmental call. She calls that ring girl, she calls the ring girl a stripper girl, which I don't even know if that's true. So check your judgments, author. But she assumes that girl's a stripper. And then she talks about how the date just knew she was the prize, didn't get jealous of the physically more beautiful, sexier stripper, and the guy fell in love with her. So that's the story, okay? So, Samantha is quote-unquote the friend of hers that this happened to. So, the end result was that he was completely enamored with Samantha. And while driving home, he kept saying how incredibly beautiful he thought she was. The proof was in the pudding. He continued to pursue her, not the stripper who overcompensated, to get the attention that is often very short-lived. So I wrote here, or maybe he just doesn't want to go for strippers. Don't overthink this. I think there's a sizable number of guys who don't want to date strippers. So maybe it has nothing to do with attitude. Maybe they just don't want to date strippers. Maybe you're reading too much into the situation. You know what I mean? So, now this next paragraph is so cringe. Again, this is the friend who went on a date with the guy who took her to a boxing match. This is what our dating coach for girls or whatever, life coach for women says about this. While my friend's behavior was exemplary, he wasn't all that as in the date, wasn't all that romantic. It should not go unnoticed that a man is willing to take you somewhere unromantic on the first date. If a man takes you to a boxing match, a strip joint, or a place he might typically hang out with a bunch of guys, he's telling you by the choices he is making that he doesn't plan to have you around for that long. If this is where he takes you on the first date, don't go out with him on a second date. What kind of judgmental bullshit is this? What if he wants to show you his world? So let's change this. I go to the beach a lot, right? So let's say I take someone to the beach, because that's where I hang out with my bros a lot. Does that mean I don't know. She must have something against fighters or something. Why does she put boxing with strip joint? Yeah. I just wrote here, he's just showing you what he likes, man. Maybe that's actually good. That was just so cringe. So, going the other way, there is something cool that she does say that I kind of agree with here. Quality men are attracted by less, not more. If he sees a pretty secretary wearing her hair in a bun, right there in the broad daylight, he's going to start wondering what she looks with her hair down. If he sees a woman dressed in a way that shows there is something moving behind a sweater that he can't see, his desire to see is greater than if she's showing it right off the bat. When you show your shape, but don't expose every inch, the unwrapping of the gift becomes much more stimulating. If he has to unbutton an item of clothing to get to what he wants to see, it turns him on more, not less. Now that's true, right? Imagination's powerful. So, this is really funny. So, this is a failed analogy. Watch this. Much of holding your own in a relationship begins with how you hold yourself. Overcompensating is overcompensating, and it includes everything from calling a man too much to cooking a 4-course meal to dressing too provocatively. Remember the saying, the candle that burns twice as bright burns half as long. Unless the candle's way bigger and it's got a lost my train of thought. Unless the candle is bigger or it's got a better burning mechanism. So it's a really bad analogy. Maybe you got more of yourself to share and show off than other people. You know what I mean? Some people they got 6 awesome hobbies. Hide it from people. Unless it's something really personal to you. If you want to share it with someone that you're thinking of spending more time with, why not? So, I don't know if she invented the saying or she was quoting some PUA, but I've definitely heard something like this for PUAs. This is why you often hear men say they want a lady in the living room and a whore in the bedroom. Man. So, he should accept me as I am, right? This is something that a lot of guys who try to give other guys any sort of advice try to refute, right? So let's see how she refutes this. Basically, women are like, hey, I'm this way. He should accept me. So what she says is, oh no, sister, slap yourself. He should want you madly. Acceptance has nothing to do with it. He accepts a doormat, but he desires his dream girl. If you want acceptance, go to a self-help group. It's kind of deep. If you want acceptance, go to a self-help group. But then you think about that deeply, that's kind of really bad advice too, right? The people around you, yes, they should encourage you to keep growing, but if they don't accept you, man, woof. Acceptance is only for a self-help group. Oof, oof. The one example I like to give that I hear, remember Ross Jeffries? I interviewed him back in the day. And Ross Jeffries one time in an interview, when he was talking to a whole audience of women, he said, oh, women, if you want a friend in a man, get a dog, get a male dog, right? So her line, if you want acceptance, go to a self-help group. It reminds me of when Ross Jeffries says it. Yeah, if you want a friend in a man, go get a dog or something like that. So now she's talking more about women that try to go the extra mile to be a nurturing woman and what a man thinks. Okay, check this out. So, according to her, if a woman's going an extra mile, in a man's mind, she's trying too hard. She's desperate. Is that true, guys? If a woman's showing some attention, are you automatically thinking, oh yeah, she's desperate? In her mind, if she says, I don't want to play games, in his mind, he thinks she talks too much? What kind of logical kind of jump did that? I don't know. This one is really cringe. In her mind, I am nurturing. In his mind, she is mothering. A lot of men like women who mother them, I'm telling you. In her mind, if she's saying, I'm giving 100% so I can make it work, in his mind, she is really nice, but there just isn't chemistry. Again, it could happen or it could not happen. You guys let me know. How much of these kind of logical jumps do you see? So, here's a funny part. So, again, repeating herself, she's talking about, I don't know what, right? The kind of selling that, oh yeah, you gotta be mysterious. So, now, I'm about to run out of battery on my computer. Not battery, sorry. I'm about to run out of space. We're just getting started. We're just having fun. Anyway, so let's go quickly. It isn't about looks. Gorgeous women get dumped every day. It isn't about intelligence. Women of all types, from brilliant women to women with the IQ equivalent of plant life, pull it off every day. It's about mystery. Learning how to create intrigue. Although, guys, if you're going to go along this logic, I can guarantee you, okay, just using induction, I'm sure mysterious women get dumped all the time, too. This is the problem when you make these general statements. Okay, ever notice that when you're on the phone ignoring the man you are with, when you are on the phone ignoring the man you are with, suddenly he'll kiss your neck and try to get your attention. They're on a date. She's not paying him any attention. She's on her phone. That's what's going on. Ignore him and he is intrigued. Make him the center of attention all the time and he runs. Or, hey, how about this? Ignore him and he gets resentful. Did you think about that? Ignore him and he's out. No, you're not telling women that, right? Some men don't. They're too busy. They're too busy. Ignore him. Yeah, I'm going to ignore him. And then he's gone. He's gone. Attraction principle 8. The biggest variable between a bitch and a woman who is too nice is fear. The bitch shows that she is not afraid to be without him. So the bitch shows that she's not afraid. Okay, so the bitch basically shows she's okay without him. All right. When a man is slightly afraid of losing a woman. His excitement is peaked. Yes. Okay, so this is something I do agree with. Slightly. You know, that slight uncertainty is really cool. It's like playing a game. Like a video game, I'm telling you, not like playing a game. Oh my god, what should I be to like make him think of stuff? His psyche is like a plant. It needs water, but also air to breathe. To give a man too much reassurance too soon is the same as overwatering a plant. It kills. Now, I agree with that first part. You should give him space sometimes, but too much reassurance too soon is the same as overwatering a plant. It kills him. Okay. Attraction principle 9. If the choice is between her dignity and having a relationship, the bitch will prioritize her dignity above all else. So, the person who is least dependent on the outcome of the relationship will automatically draw the other person in. You see, a lot of times in men's self-help, they talk about this too. And women are teaching other women this. So how about you just stop playing games? Both sides, stop teaching this kind of bullshit. You see what I mean? We're about to run out of space, but let's just go until we run out of space. Meet the new and improved bitch, she's telling women. She maintains her independence, okay? It doesn't matter if she's the CEO of a company or a waitress at Denny's. She earns an honest living. She has honor, and she isn't standing there with her hand out. Now, the description's pretty good. Earn an honest living, right? Having honor. But how does that jump to she maintains her independence? Again, I don't know. I'm going to read the paragraph before her point, okay? The paragraph says, the moon and the sun and the stars don't revolve around him. She doesn't make her dates with him when her horoscope advises that his big Mercury is about to retrograde in her little Venus. She doesn't chase him or keep tabs on him.